The galaxy had long been a place where alliances and partnerships defined power. On the grand station of Arender, species from countless worlds mingled, each seeking strength, prestige, or companionship. Everywhere one looked, pairs and groups formed with precise deliberation. Merchants joined with strategists, warriors paired with scholars, and diplomats found their counterparts with ease. Yet amidst the brilliance of the station's great halls and glittering corridors, one figure stood apart, striking and enigmatic, yet untouched by attention. The alien vampire queen had ruled her domain for centuries, her reputation preceding her across the star systems. She possessed a beauty and elegance that few could ignore, yet her aura was a mix of allure and intimidation. Where others saw grace, some feared predation. Where others felt charisma, some sensed danger. Her kind had always existed on the edge of galactic society, revered, feared, but never embraced as partners in the formal alliances that were the lifeblood of the station. Tonight, the grand convocation of companions would gather, a spectacle designed to pair leaders, warriors and strategists across the stars. The hall shimmered with lights that adjusted to each species' vision, casting an ethereal glow on the attendees. Beings of all shapes and colors moved through the room with precision, guided by custom and tradition. Yet the alien vampire queen stood near the edge, silent, her dark eyes sweeping over the hall. She noticed the subtle glances, the whispered judgments, but none of them reached her. The air around her was magnetic, yet impenetrable, as if a veil existed that no one dared cross. One by one, the partnerships formed. The strategist from Cythera paired with the warlord from Kephara. A merchant of the crystalline race found an alliance with a tactician from the oceanic world of Viralia. Laughter and murmurs accompanied the formation of each pair, each meeting punctuated by ceremony and respect. Yet the queen remained unchosen. She watched, her expression unreadable, as the process continued. It was then that a human appeared. He was unremarkable in appearance by alien standards. Average height, brown hair, and eyes that reflected a quiet intelligence rather than an aura of overwhelming power. Yet there was something in his stride, something in the way he moved without hesitation, that caught the attention of those nearby. Unlike the others, he did not pause to calculate alliances or weigh options. He scanned the room with genuine curiosity, and his gaze finally rested on the alien vampire queen. The hall seemed to fall silent around them, though no one acknowledged it aloud. There was an imperceptible pull, a subtle shift in energy that made others pause in mid-step. The human moved forward, his steps deliberate but unhurried. He did not flinch at the intensity of her stare, nor did he hesitate when their eyes met. To the queen, this was unusual. Centuries of experience had taught her that most beings approached her with caution, deference, or veiled fear. Few dared to meet her gaze with such frankness. When he reached her, he bowed slightly, not in submission, but in acknowledgement. "I wish to form a partnership with you," he said, his voice carrying across the space between them. There was no flattery, no attempt to manipulate. It was simple, clear, and unyielding. A ripple of astonishment passed through the onlookers. Whispers started immediately, though no one dared approach too closely. The idea of a human claiming partnership with the alien vampire queen was, to many, inconceivable. Why him? Some murmured, "He is untested in the ways of the galaxy. He has nothing to offer her." The queen studied him carefully. In his eyes, she found neither fear nor greed. Instead, there was recognition and acknowledgement of her presence without the desire to dominate or exploit it. She had never encountered such a thing. Her life had been a constant series of negotiations, displays of power, and careful manipulations. Yet here was someone who reached for her as if the centuries of reputation and the weight of her kind's history mattered little. After a long pause, she inclined her head. "You are aware of what this implies," she said, her tone measured, carrying centuries of authority. "All who align with me gain both my loyalty and my strength, yet they also assume the burdens that accompany it." "I understand," the human replied simply. "I am willing to bear them." It was not flattery that drew her closer, but resolve. Many had sought her favor for influence, for protection, for power. Few had approached her with a willingness to face the unknown, with nothing but their own courage. She saw in him an echo of something rare in the galaxy, fearlessness tempered with wisdom. The hall remained tense, the other beings watching with bated breath. Slowly, the queen extended a hand, an invitation not often given. "Then it shall be so," she said. As their hands met, a subtle energy resonated between them, almost imperceptible, yet undeniable. The partnership was not formalized through ceremony alone, but through recognition of each other's essence, a blending of strengths and resolve. Immediately, the human felt it. A surge of awareness, a perception of her thoughts and intentions, though not intrusive, connected him to the vast intelligence and power the queen had cultivated over centuries. In turn, she sensed the clarity of his mind, his adaptability, and his unshakable will. It was rare, she realized, for someone to meet her on this level without awe, without the desire to bend or manipulate. The grand convocation continued, but the room seemed different now. Where before there had been whispers and calculations, there was now an acknowledgement of possibility. The human and the queen moved together through the crowd, not as predator and prey, nor as master and subordinate, but as equals. Observers noticed how naturally he adapted to her presence, how their movements were synchronized without planning. It was the kind of harmony that arose not from training, but from instinct and understanding. As the evening progressed, the queen observed more closely. He was not a warrior in the traditional sense, yet there was a subtle strength in his presence. He did not rely on force to command attention. He relied on clarity, decisiveness, and the courage to act where others hesitated. He listened more than he spoke, yet when he spoke, it carried weight. By the end of the gathering, it was clear that their bond was not just unusual, but extraordinary. News of their pairing spread quickly across the station. Those who had once ignored her, or who had been intimidated by her aura, now looked on with a mix of curiosity and respect. The human's willingness to reach for her, to see her as more than legend or intimidation, had reshaped perceptions in ways the queen had not expected. Alliances shifted subtly, whispers of admiration replacing murmurs of doubt. In the following weeks, the partnership proved its worth. The human accompanied her on missions across the sector, facing challenges that tested both strategy and courage. He was not the fastest nor the strongest, but his insight into human ingenuity and adaptability complemented her centuries of experience. Together, they navigated political tensions, intercepted pirate fleets, and negotiated with species that previously refused to acknowledge her authority. Each success cemented the unusual alliance, demonstrating that strength came in many forms, not just raw power or fear. What amazed the queen most was his approach to the delicate nature of her kind. Vampires in their society were respected but feared, often avoided in close partnerships. This human did not shy away, did not attempt to control, and did not seek to exploit. He treated her as an individual, respecting her intelligence, her autonomy, and her capabilities. In return, she found herself more willing to trust, to share knowledge, and to consider strategies that had previously remained hidden, even from her closest advisors. Other species began to notice the transformation. Where the queen had been isolated, she now inspired collaboration. The human's unassuming courage became a symbol of hope, a reminder that perception and preconception could be overcome. Soon, delegates from multiple systems sought audience with them, not just for the queen's strength, but for the human's perspective. Together, They reshaped diplomatic norms, proving that partnerships between the most unlikely of beings could lead to unmatched results. Months later, when the convocation reconvened, the hall was different. The energy of potential now pulsed with a new rhythm, one influenced by the human and the Queen's partnership. Where once isolation and fear had defined her presence, now there was anticipation and respect. She moved through the halls no longer untouched by alliance, but embraced by possibility. And she recognized in him not just a partner, but a force that elevated her in ways centuries of solitary rule had never achieved. It was in these moments, quiet and powerful, that the Queen understood something profound. The galaxy did not merely reward strength or cunning. It rewarded those who dared to reach beyond expectation, who saw potential where others saw threat, and who acted with both courage and conviction. In choosing her, the human had not only altered her fate, but had also demonstrated a timeless truth, that true power was amplified not by fear or intimidation, but by trust, understanding, and the courage to act in the face of the unknown. And so, the alien vampire queen was no longer ignored. The human had reached for her finest, and in doing so, had unlocked a new chapter in the history of the stars. Together, they became a force that others could not easily comprehend, a testament to the strength of human ingenuity and the enduring power of alliance. Where once there had been isolation,